Beyond the storms of emotion, mastery, not suppression. The power of standing firm before internal movements. A highly pervasive illusion thrives within the odyssey of mental awakening. The hallucination that a powerful individual possesses an interior landscape as flat as a sheet of blank paper, devoid of ripples. Stripped of anxieties, the masses idolize these frozen archetypes. These crystalline minds standing calcified before adversity. But look at the raw reality of life. Does any living entity ascend to greatness without enduring internal movements? A tree demanding to reach the canopy must navigate seasons of shedding leaves, of violent sap mutations within its timber. A magnificent ocean is never devoid of subsurface undercurrents shifting the entire marine landscape deep beneath. Therefore, authentic caliber does not reside in the eradication of emotion, but in the power of standing firm before internal movements. When an individual initiates the voyage of autonomy, they perceive their interior as a vivid, wildly diverse ecosystem. It contains the warm sunlight of joy, but is equally populated by the shadows of fear, sudden tempests of empathy, or torrential high tides of rage. Standing firm here does not imply combat, resistance, or utilizing the will to execute a forced, suffocating suppression. Forcing a rigid facade merely creates an artificial outer armor while accumulating explosive pressure within, transmuting the psyche into something highly fragile, brittle enough to shatter the moment it collides with a sufficient external force. Standing firm before internal movements is the capacity to keep the anchor of your core values nailed deep into the earth, even when the terrain beneath your feet is convulsing with an emotional tremor. It is a state of benevolent, internal composure, where you permit emotional energy streams to arise, to mutate, and to fully experience their morphology without upending your personality structure or clouding your crystalline reason. You cease to perceive these movements as hostile insurgencies requiring annihilation. Instead, you view them as natural currents of life energy, delivering critical data regarding your own interior matrix. Have you ever questioned why we harbor such terror toward our own internal movements? Is it because we fear that if these emotions unveil themselves, they will consume us whole? Or is it because we have defaulted into the trap of stamping labels like good versus bad, or positive versus negative, onto every vibration of the heart? An autonomous mind emancipates itself from these labeling traps. They comprehend that every internal movement, be it a fleeting anxiety regarding the future or a shadow of sorrow over the past, is not an obstacle designed to breed stasis, but a lesson waiting to be transformed. When you possess the capacity to contain these movements without being capsized, you possess a supreme sovereign authority, the power of an enlightened observer. Unveiling the quality, refusing to let fleeting emotion pilot actions. Throughout the timeline of human history, the demarcation line between a titan and a commoner, between a constructive decision and an act of total demolition, is frequently encapsulated within the brief seconds of a fleeting emotion. The ultimate caliber of an autonomous mind is this: refusing to let fleeting emotion pilot action. Observe the daily white noise surrounding us. How many exquisite relationships constructed over decades are instantly vaporized because of a lethal phrase issued during a crescendo of fury? How many magnificent careers are sabotaged in a single evening due to an impulsive choice dictated by greed or terror? Fleeting emotion resembles a localized tornado tearing through a village. Its raw force is immense, displacing everything in its trajectory, yet its lifespan is exceptionally brief. If we hand the steering wheel of destiny over to a passing whirlwind, the solitary guaranteed destination is ruin. An individual who refuses to let fleeting emotion dictate action is not someone devoid of rage, sorrow, or fear. The core distinction lies in their capacity to detach the acting self from the emotional state. When fury ascends, the unawakened entity declares, "I am angry. And because I am angry, I hold the right to smash, to insult, to degrade." Their behavior is entirely digested by the rage. Conversely, the autonomous mind observes, "There is a wave of anger arising within me." This micro-shift in internal vocabulary engineers an immediate safety perimeter. The anger is a phenomenon occurring within them, but it is not them. And because it is not them, it possesses no sovereign authority to command their hands, their lips, or their stride. In his classic philosophical text Meditations, the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily amidst the suffocating pressures of governing the Roman Empire. When you are angry, remember this. Rage is not a manifestation of caliber. Gentleness and kindness are more human qualities, and therefore, more powerful. The individual who possesses these qualities is the one who holds true strength, muscle, and courage, not the one who surrenders to anger and discontent. To forge this caliber, the autonomous mind aligns with the evolutionary blueprint of nature. They recognize that every emotion tracks a sine wave, an initiation point, a peak crescendo, and a phase of inevitable decay and evaporation. When a negative emotion hits its zenith, the most intellectually vigilant move is not to rush into resolving the external issue, but to anchor oneself in absolute silence. They grant themselves a consecrated interval to return home, waiting for the blinding smoke of emotion to thin, returning clarity to the reservoir of logic. Only then is an action executed, an action designed to architect a new experience, rather than a destructive chain reaction. Behavioral psychology analysis. Why do humans become slaves to impulsive emotion? To master any force, we must first decode its operational mechanics. Why is it that, despite consciously anticipating the casualties, humans continuously repeat antiquated patterns, consistently defaulting into slavery under rage, fear, or impulsivity? The diagnosis lies deep within our neurological architecture and untransmuted psychological traumas. From the perspective of neuroscience and behavioral psychology, our brain is the product of millions of years of evolution. Within this system, the amygdala, the command center for primitive survival emotions like fear and rage, operates at a blistering velocity. When encountering a perceived threat, whether a physical hazard or an assault on the fragile vanity of the ego, the amygdala instantly triggers a biochemical protocol: fight, flight, or freeze. It hijacks the entire nervous system, effectively severing communication with the prefrontal cortex, the brain region mandated with logical thought, strategic planning, and impulse control. Biochemically, the organism is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. The heart rate accelerates, breathing becomes shallow, and all available energy converges on an immediate survival reaction. However, within modern civilization, the vast majority of threats are no longer apex predators, they are corporate criticisms, socioeconomic pressures, or differences in opinion. Yet, our prehistoric amygdala cannot distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a critique from a superior. It reacts to both with an identical, explosive ferocity. This is the anatomical root of our impulsivity. We are allowing our most primitive brain structure to pilot our lives in a world that demands civilization and intellectual empathy alongside biology. Depth psychology reveals that impulsivity and hyperreactivity are frequently the echoes of unarchived past traumas. When a child matures within an environment defined by neglect, harsh judgment, or chronic instability, they forge hypersensitive defensive armor. In adulthood, a trivial, accidental behavior from a partner can trigger those ancient survival memories, causing an immediate detonation. The current rage is almost never about the present event. It is the compressed volume of thousands of past moments of helplessness roaring for their right to be heard. An individual with an autonomous mind decodes this mechanism with profound empathy for themselves and others. They bypass the trap of self-flagellation. They do not view their moments of emotional vulnerability as an unforgivable defect, but as a diagnostic indicator pointing toward an interior territory requiring maintenance, a lesson waiting to be transformed. Instead of attempting to correct errors through self-punishment, they cradle the wounded inner child with the energy of understanding and benevolence. The autonomous methodology of observing emotions. Clouds in the interior sky high. Then, does an autonomous mind behave when an emotional tempest hits? They do not build dams to block the current. They do not use internal violence to suppress it. They select an infinitely more enlightened and artistic methodology. Observing emotions as clouds passing through the sky. Gaze up at the expanse above. There are days when the sky is pristine, saturated with sunlight and cool breezes, yet there are days when dark clouds accumulate heavily, obscuring the sun, bearing thunder and torrents. But has the sky ever been permanently damaged by those storms? Can the blackest clouds permanently alter the inherent nature of the sky? No. No matter how savage the tempest, the sky remains the sky, vast, immense, quiet, and immutable behind the cloud cover. When the rain concludes and the clouds evaporate, the blue expanse reveals itself as if it had never departed in this metaphor. Your authentic consciousness is the sky. Emotions are merely the clouds. An unawakened mind hallucinates that they are the clouds. When darkness arrives, they think, I am depression, I am failure, I am a mass of anxiety. They identify their entire essence with a temporary emotional state, allowing themselves to be swept away by the cloud's migration. Conversely, the autonomous mind consistently positions itself as the sky. They occupy the vantage point of the observer. They track every emotional cloud passing through, decoding them with awakening. Look, a cloud of envy is drifting in. Or, a cold current of loneliness is currently moving through. They do not chase away the dark clouds. Nor do they frantically attempt to clutch the white ones. They allow them the freedom to operate according to natural law. When you observe a surge of rage without feeding it additional fuel, via overthinking, blaming, or internal drama, that rage will automatically exhaust its own energetic supply and evaporate. Much like a rain cloud that drops its volume and yields to the sunrise, the humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers penned a profoundly transformative truth in his work on becoming a person. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Acceptance here is entirely separate from surrender. It is the total recognition of reality. When you accept that you are hosting a fear, you cease squandering energy trying to camouflage it. You can sit down and converse with your fear as if it were an old companion. You ask, what data have you arrived to remind me of? From the vantage point of the sky, every emotion becomes comprehensible, carrying its own message. You understand them, contain them with unconditional benevolence, but absolutely refuse them the authority to command the helm of your destiny, the core frontier. Mastery versus suppression. To synthesize this chapter, we must clearly and definitively demarcate the boundary between two states that are constantly confused: emotional mastery and emotional suppression. These are separate paths leading to completely inverted destinies. Benchmark: emotional suppression, emotional mastery, essence denial, evasion, forcing emotion to remain hidden, welcoming, identifying, and permitting emotion to self-transmute. Energetic type: closed energy, internal friction, severe psychic tension. Open energy, benevolence, aligning with natural evolutionary cycles. Interior state: a sealed pressure cooker on the verge of detonation. Deep water, surface ripples over an absolute. Abyssal stillness: perception of emotion perceives negative emotion as a defect or a stain to be punished, perceives emotion as premium raw material. A lesson awaiting transformation. Long-term yield: psychosomatic illnesses, depression, or sudden outbursts of violence. Profound self-containment, absolute internal peace, and creative thought. Emotional suppression is an act of internal psychic violence against oneself. When you declare, I am not permitted to grieve, I must remain positive, you are burying a segment of your life energy into the basement of the unconscious. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it merely changes form. Emotions suppressed over extended timelines will inevitably sabotage your biology via psychosomatic illnesses, manifesting as gastric ulcers, migraines, or nervous exhaustion. Alternatively, they accumulate into a ticking chronological bomb, requiring only a solitary final drop of water to explode and level every achievement you have built. Meanwhile, emotional mastery is the ultimate art of living. It is the capacity to watch a hurricane rise within your heart, fully feeling its cold velocity and force, while your interior remains saturated with an unshakable conviction in the solidity of your essence. You recognize that you are greater than any storm. You permit yourself to weep when heartbroken. You allow yourself to tremble when facing an abyss, but your feet continue their stride toward the light of your supreme purpose. Do you wish to continue existing as a dry leaf swept away aimlessly by every breath of external circumstance? Or do you choose to be the vast sky, the deep water, containing every movement of the cosmos with absolute self-sovereignty? That choice does not belong to tomorrow, nor does it wait at some distant milestone. It resides directly within the interval between stimulus and reaction in this exact moment. Take a deep breath, smile at the passing clouds, and reclaim the sovereign governance of your internal kingdom. Your companionship is the vital energy that sustains and drives the profound values we are co-architecting. Thank you for the intervals you have carved out to listen, perceive, and view existence from these expanded horizons. The old lessons are concluding to clear the space for a new arena of experience. I shall meet you on our next Odyssey, where we will continue to harvest the grit of an autonomous mind. Standing unshakable before all mutations of reality, may you always safeguard the absolute stillness within the depths of your own ocean.